Okay, second example of why market fails. Number one, monopoly power. Second case of monopoly power leading to failure in market is union. Okay, that is explained in slide number 48. Suppose that union gave workers market power over supply of their labor in production of food. In food production, too little labor, then what happens? Too little labor, LF, right, is very small compared to perfectively competitive outcome. This one smaller than labor employment when perfectly competitive outcome. Small amount of labor employed, simply talking. And wage rate is higher, in monopoly case, right? Higher than wage star, because labor union use monopoly power at labor market, right? This kind of thing happens. This means that less amount of labor employed in food sector. That means labor employment in clothing sector is greater than perfectly competitive case. Okay? And wage rate in this case lower than wage rate in perfectly competitive case. The opposite happens in the other good, clothing sector. Okay? So that is explained here. Too little labor would then be supplied to the food industry at too high wage rate, and too much labor to the clothing industry at too low wages. In the clothing industry, the input efficiency condition would be satisfied because MRTSLK here, MRTSLK in clothing production is wage rate in clothing over, what is this? Over R, right? So, like this. Also, same thing happens in food market. MRTS food in food production is wage rate in food, right? Should be R. This one is equal to this one. This one is equal to this one. But we know that this one higher than this, right? This one increase, this one decrease. So basically, this one higher than this one, right? Then what happened? So efficiency, output efficiency, MRTS is not, or simply talking, MRTS in food production greater than MRTS clothing production. So input efficiency not satisfied. Input inefficiency happens simply talking. When labor union use market power, monopoly market power, right? The result, so explained here, therefore MRTS greater than MRTS in clothing production. The result is input inefficiency because efficiency requires that the marginal rate of technical substitution be equal in production of both good, all good. But this one, efficiency is different, right? In production of food and clothing. So input inefficiency happen. Okay? And now we go second reason why market fails. Until now, we said monopoly power. Second reason is incomplete information. Incomplete information. Right? That is slide number 49. Lack of information may give producers an incentive to supply too much of some products and too little of others. Lack of information may also prevent some market from ever developing. These information problems can lead to competitive market inefficiency. Competitive market inefficiency. All right? So incomplete information. that is a recent topic in very popular topic in advanced microeconomics actually, right? So, but this intermediate level chapter cover very shortly. Number 3 is third reason why market fail, externalities. Externalities, right? Sometimes market price do not reflect the activities of either producers or consumers. There is an externality when a consumption or production activity has an indirect effect on other consumption or production activity that is not reflected directly in market price, right? Now think about pollution, right? Contamination, pollution or contamination, that is negative externality case, right? Then some firm emitting lots of contaminants produce too much, right? Produce too much, so inefficiency happen, right? As we explained in section 9.2, the word externality is used because the effect on others are external to the market. An externality causes both input and output inefficiency, right? Input and output inefficiency is a result of externalities. For example, environmental degradation, pollution, right? That kind of thing. Or sometimes positive externalities. For example, R&D spend, forms of R&D spending on some goods cause a positive externality, right? So the other firm can enjoy benefit from competitors some R&D spending. And that company spending lots of money on R&D cannot recoup all the benefit from their R&D, right? That is case of positive externality. Anyway, in this case, market fails. Okay? And finally, public goods. Number 4 reason why market fails. Public goods. Public goods, non-exclusive, non-liable. So we already studied what is the meaning of non-exclusiveness and non-liableness, right? In Introduction to Economics. That can be made available cheaply, but which, once available, is difficult to prevent others from consuming. So free-riding problem happen also. A market may fail to supply goods that many consumers value. For example, suppose a firm is considering whether to undertake research on new technology for which it cannot obtain a patent. Once the invention is made public, others can duplicate it. As long as it is difficult to exclude others from selling the product, the research will be unprofitable. Right? Anyway, this 4 reasons. So that is final slide of chapter 16. Okay, I'd like to summarize chapter 16. Right? So efficiency in exchange, MRS is equal to P1 over P2 is equal to MRS for clothing, cotton, James, right? And input efficiency, MRTS for labor and capital for production is equal to W over R is equal to MRTS, labor per capital in clothing production, right? And MRS of James or N equal to MRS of Karen is equal to PF or P clothing is equal to MRT. That is output efficiency, right? So that is conclusion of microeconomics. Conclusion of microeconomics. So if we explain this one using graph, right? This one, right? At this point, this condition satisfied at this point, right? That, and this is a conclusion of microeconomics. If market exists, led by relative price of two goods, relative factor price, all the economy reaching at this point, and efficiency in input, efficiency in consumption, and output efficiency achieved automatically, led by market system via price mechanism, right? So free market and no government intervention is best policy, right? That is a background of liberal policy, right? Market economies, right? That kind of thing. And Adam Smith's invisible hand. Then what is socialist economics? So everything, what is this? Consumption amount, consumption decided by government, production and decided by government. This one decided by government, by society. Okay? Their purpose is to reaching a best outcome, right? Assuming that human goodwill and intelligence can solve everything. That is socialist idea. But in real world, this one is better, showing better performance than socialist idea. Right? Why? So, in this market mechanism, lots of consumers, lots of producers, right? And some interact with each other and make best outcome. Okay? That is best philosophical meaning of equilibrium. Equilibrium in Korean may be 중도, right? You look at the effect of price, effect of one thing interrelated with factors market and output market and consumption market, everything is related, right? So humans' intelligence and goodwill cannot fully capture all of this kind of thing. Anyway, there are lots of some collision in market system and reaching at equilibrium automatically. Okay? So best outcome achieved in market economy automatically. Under the assumption that market is perfectly competitive. But in real world, market is not so perfectly competitive. We studied the monopoly market and oligopoly market. Why that happened? Why that happens? Think about scale economies or increasing productivity or something. Then size of firm increase, right? And perfective competitive market structure is not very hold anymore. So lots of problem happen, right? So why market fails? Monopoly power, that is really important thing. Externality and public good. Anyway, this one can be solved. But this one is most important reason why market fail. Then this kind of best outcome cannot be attained. Then how to solve this problem? Right? Anyway, so monopoly power or monopsony power happen because some firm or some group is more efficient or more productive than competitors. And competition is really, because of competition, this kind of result happen. But these competitions, some collapse in the case of increasing productivity or scale economies of scale and scope, for example, right? So, key problem in economic policy is how to solve this kind of problem. That is, we studied antitrust laws. The purpose of antitrust law is increasing competition between lots of economic agents, right? To preventing this kind of monopoly power and encouraging competition. Because of competition, productivity increase and something. So, really important thing is antitrust law or how to change this monopoly power or entry barrier, right? Constructed by monopoly power to encourage competition. That's a really important issue in developed country. But lots of developing countries think some likely to attack just market economy, right? their idea is just attack on market economy, right? So attack on market economy instead of antitrust policy or some monopoly policy to encourage competition. This is economist idea to solve modern society, capitalist society, right? But Korean politicians and lots of developing countries said, instead of some, forget about all of this one and we go back to some socialist idea or something. It's really some ignorance of intelligence, human intelligence, I think. Okay? Anyway, so that is a conclusion of microeconomics. Also, this is a starting point of international trade theory. Okay? Okay, now I'd like to stop my lecture.